It's no secret that Left 4 Dead 2 has been one of the most successful survival horror games to ever be released. Because of this game, there has been other games that took an inspiration of the game itself, like the Warhammer Vermintide 1 and 2, along with its 40k counterpart, Darktide. And also World War C. Yes, that is a movie, but it has its own game and is still getting content to this very day. So why am I talking about this game instead of the first one? Well, it's quite simple. Before I get to that point, I think I should start from the beginning. When Left 4 Dead 2 was announced for the game to come out the following year after the first game, people tend to get an outrage for whatever reason being. And there was even a group that ended up just being boycotting the game. But it doesn't matter because the people who was trying to boycott it were invited to, well, basically test out the game. And it turns out they actually love it. Left 4 Dead 2 was basically the improved version that Left 4 Dead 1 was. Add in some new infections like the jockey and the charger, and you get it. There were 3 new ones, but you also had brand new survivors, weapons, an introduction of melee weapons, and also, well, the DLC. Well, on PC it's free, but the Xbox 360 version you had to pay for them. That was the weirdest part. Valve wanted to be free, but Microsoft said no. The UI has somewhat changed, but at the same time, you have some brand new music, some redesigns of other infections that you've seen before, and also some new voice lines and characters. Not just for like new characters, but also older ones entirely. So, when the Sacrifice DLC was announced, a lot of people were excited about it because it's not only a Left 4 Dead 2 DLC, but it was also a DLC for Left 4 Dead 1. Left 4 Dead 1 and Left 4 Dead 2 were always critically successful, and Left 4 Dead 1 actually won Game of the Year. So that we ended up getting survival mode absolutely free, regardless if you were to own an Xbox 360 or perhaps an Xbox One or Xbox Series or PC. And I only say it like that because if you guys have an Xbox One or Xbox Series, you could play this game backwards compatible. But for whatever reason being, it's hard to get the DLC. At the time, you were to have to go to the Xbox 360 store and do that, or to Microsoft's website. I don't know what it is about the newer store. It tends to do things that it should already be doing, but it's kind of weird that it doesn't do it. But Left 4 Dead had created a huge modding community that lets you create your own maps. Yeah, that's right. On the PC version of the game, you tend to create your own maps any way that you like. It could have its own skins and whatever, and because of the Steam Workshop functionality, other third-party companies end up being part of the game itself. Like, for example, Resident Evil 6. It had its own computer version of a collaboration with No Mercy DLC. It pretty much has the Left 4 Dead characters and 2 special infected in the Mercenaries mode and whatever. But that was it. The PC version was always dubbed as the No Mercy mode. But in modern systems, the No Mercy version of the Mercenaries are now available on home consoles for the first time. You just don't have to Left 4 Dead aesthetics. Dying Light also makes a huge appearance as well as cosmetics. But Left 4 Dead will have its own crossovers, not just those 2 games, but also Zombie Army games. The Trilogy version is only on PC for the collaboration, but if you play the 4th game, it doesn't matter which platform you get the characters absolutely free of the Left 4 Dead characters 1 and 2 packs. Well, with the Sacrifice DLC announced, it was also announced that No Mercy, the Left 4 Dead 1 map, would come out for Left 4 Dead 2, but a lot of people were pretty quick to speculate something. The map was actually based off the Versus version of the map itself, not the other way around it for some reason. And there is a huge key differences because in the original No Mercy map, there was this big interior door part of the rooftop scene, but in the Versus mode, it's eliminated. But the rest of the Left 4 Dead 1 maps would soon follow, so it makes Left 4 Dead 2 the most definitive version to play if you happen to want to play the first Left 4 Dead game. Well, Yeah, it's Left 4 Dead 2, but you're playing Left 4 Dead 1 in Left 4 Dead 2, so it makes sense. We were even then given a community-made map known as Coldstream, not just on PC, but also on Xbox 360. And in recent years, a huge community update approved by Valve will get released known as The Last Stand. This adds in various things to the game. So what do I mean by that? Well, for an example, this game had Counter-Strike weapons that were exclusively into international sceneries. This is no longer the case, and DLC weapons that were locked in DLC maps, like the light machine gun, for example, and a golf club, that's no longer the case. You can take them anywhere on the map. Also, the update adds in 2 new melee weapons, a pitchfork and a shovel, as you're seeing. But for the game itself, it also has the Last Stand campaign that was made by the community. It's only 2 maps, but it's fine. Also, the heavy metal version of the tank's theme is also in the map itself, so it makes it an official music now instead of a fan-made music that was several years back. Oh yeah, and speaking of survival, I hope you guys really love this, because it adds a jack ton of new survival maps for every different sceneries of the campaign itself. But speaking of new, what does Left 4 Dead 2 have else that's new? I've already mentioned the melee weapons, of course, but there's also this new item called the Adrenaline Shot. It's supposed to make you go faster. It slightly heals you, but it helps your speed boost much better. Also, the game has a scavenge mode where you take gasoline cans and fill them up to the tanks, and that's it. This is what you'll be doing in the main campaign, but my point is, you'll be doing this in the scavenge mode. There is also a scavenge versus mode. And also, the game itself has another mode, survival versus, which was added in there as much as I can tell recently in terms of the update. But it is cool. I've pretty much heard some horrible things for the past couple of years about this game getting players DOS for whatever reason being, which is really, really dumb. I really think that you guys should check out my dude's videos about that. I'll leave the link in the description below if you guys are interested as to why the game needs to be revamped in some sort. So for each campaign, your mission is to get to the safe house as pretty much quick as possible. Well, I wouldn't say quickly, but that is something you should do in terms of versus, because in versus, one team controls the survivors and the other is the infections. But every time you do that, there's like, you know how it's Call of Duty, you switch phases and like switch different sides, it's like halftime. Well, it's basically like a halftime thing. It's like every time you complete it, then you'll switch to the opposing team. Like you play as survivors, but then the next halfway thing you'll play as infection. Which means like, if you prevent survivors from going to the safe house, you gain more points. Or at least they have lesser points. But you get it. You have to make sure you win. The most points wins. Anyways, the campaign, you go to the safe house and then that's it. But you have to make sure that everybody is in there. Look, if they die, it's fine. As long as everybody is in there, you'll be able to make it out safely. There's a couple different difficulty modes. Easy is easy. It does not have friendly fire. Every other difficulty has friendly fire, so I advise you to watch your fire. Otherwise, you might make a mistake and cost your own team the victory. And after that, you'll be rescued a chopper when you get to the final stage, or perhaps a boat, or anything. And I say anything because any sort of game, map, you can basically get rescued anyway. Maybe go to a rocket ship, an airplane, or whatever. You can get rescued by anything in this game. It's as simple as that. That's why the PC version is the definitive way, because there's a whole lot of replay value in terms of that. In fact, some Left 4 Dead 1 maps got ported over to Left 4 Dead 2 from the community. Guide your way and work together as great as possible. But I should also mention that it's highly recommended to play with friends, because who knows what strangers will do to, well, ruin your experience. 4 players in traditional survival and campaign Well, it's 8 players in versus, but there are community servers where you can play over 8 players as well. The game is usually dirt cheap, and if you guys want to get this, I always would wait for a sale. There's even a bundle containing both Left 4 Dead 1 and 2, which, if you guys wanted to play how the original version is, then by all means, go right ahead for that one, I guess. But if you only have one person, locally, then split screen is also for you. But of course, for the PC version, if you want a total makeover, then again, the Steam Community Shop is for you. You can change how the game looks in terms of skins, or different guns, animations, sound effects, music, you get it. Or maybe just graphical looks and whatever too. You could do any of that. Just keep in mind, don't put the same thing on the other thing, because either one, it might not work, or two, it might crash with the game, or anything else. So make sure you check the files and see what will work with what. So make sure you're wise on that stuff. Oh, and by the way, a lot of people are still playing this game to this very day with over 20,000 people. And that's mostly the case in terms of Left 4 Dead 2. People will never let this game die, neither will Team Fortress 2 of all things. But it is still cool that this game got recent support from the community, and would add in some stuff to the game. So with that being said, I think this is going to be the thing to cover for this game if you guys want to play in some sort of multiplayer co-op actions.